Everyone,
Awesome.
good evening, and welcome to today's episode of the Design Podcast. Um, Today, we're going to be talking about product design as a business strategy, and we have um, the honor of hosting Ikenna Osweze, right? He's going to be taking us through how product design can be a business strategy for an organization. I can stay here and introduce Ikena. I've worked with him for years now, and he has so many interesting exploits. But I'm just going to let him introduce himself. Ikena, please, could you just tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, my G, you had me at you have the honor of introducing me. I mean, please, by ah, I'm my humble self, right? But yeah, I mean, by way of introduction, Ikena, I'm a designer at heart, right? And even though right now I'm not currently into design fully, but I would always be a designer. I think over the years I've been able to work in a number of companies, either leading their design team or contributing directly, from Intelia to Global Accelerates to Profios to Reliance Health to Fincra, right? Across all these different spaces, I've been a lead designer, and then currently I lead processing at Fincra. So that basically is a business unit, right, for transactions in Africa. But I transitioned from design into the commercial space. And by way of an introduction, I'm trying to keep it very short and very simple. It's not a job interview. This is not my CV that I'm talking about here. So I'll just wrap it up there. And so yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Speaking of mention, I know you want to keep it short in that introduction, but I'm sure a lot of people are very curious, right? They want to know. They want to know people because really, it's not every time you hear the story of a designer being able to transition from ICT and now you're in like a business lead position. So we want to know like how the journey is really remarkable, like from IC to design to director to ISVP and film crowd. Like, what's that journey been like? How did it go?
How has that journey been? I would say it's a journey that is not conventional, right? So, most of the time in our space, maybe you see a product designer and then their natural progression will probably be to data, right, or data analytics, because you get to a point in design where you work with so much data when you're researching on your users, when you're learning about their preferences, that is just the natural progression. So
Hmm.
mine wasn't the natural progression, right? Yeah, I love data a lot and everything, but I went from design to um, becoming the SVP of processing. And what was that like? I would say that it was because even as a designer, you can align fully with the commercial interests of any company that you work in. And that is the simple truth, right? So, and I think that's a skill that was probably picked up on within my business, or rather within the company. And that was how I was able to also leave the design space and go more into the commercial space, right? And when it now comes to the progression, I'm sure that as we speak more, we'll have more reason to talk through how maybe design and commercial intersect, how design and business should basically intersect and work together, right? But in terms of how it was like, it was challenging, right? It was challenging because you start to see the reality of your users. You start to see that there were gaps even when you were in design, because you could think, okay, you've done your user research, but everything changes when you're actually now put in a position where you are speaking with customers or your
Correct.
users every single day trying to close a deal, right? And then you'll see that there are so many gaps that you had even in design, even gaps that you had even when you thought you had done your user research, right? So it was challenging. And then initially also, it was very difficult because now when you get interactive with customers, you learn something new. You're actually a designer at heart. So if you want to jump into Figma and go and fix what it is that is causing problems for them. So
Yeah.
I mean, I went to a point where, yeah, you're in a company, but you're working two roles or three roles or four roles, because you're now having to do everything at the same time. So it was very challenging. But I would say that I don't think I would want my career to have gone any other way. It's been the best decision that I've made in a long time. So yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. And one thing that caught my attention was when you were speaking about challenges. So like, were there? Do you think there were any misconceptions that you had back earlier, back as a designer, that you had to change when you realize, oh, design has to align with business. So basically, when you look back at your early days, right, as a designer, like, what's one misconception you had about design values in a business?
The misconception I had, and I think any designer will have this, or a lot of designers might have this, is thinking that your design does not impact revenue.
Mm,
It is crazy, right? I had that misconception thinking that, your design team, you're making a seamless experience for the users, right?
mm-hmm,
But what you don't see is how much your design eventually impacts the revenue that the company actually makes.
mm-hmm,
And the crazy thing is that the company may not even realize that until you've had the privilege of being able to sit in both units and you can see it, right? And it's so insane. There are times when in design, maybe you optimize for drop offs, you're optimizing a funnel, right? You're seeing that, okay, people are not clicking a particular button and you're making it bigger and whatnot.
mm-hmm,
However, when you now come to the business side of things, right, you now get to interact with people, especially when you work in a place that touches multiple markets. Maybe you're live in Nigeria, you're live in Ghana, you're live in Kenya, right? When you speak with people in these other markets, you will see how decisions that you made from the point of view of you being maybe a Nigerian designer and still having some cognitive bias and doing things for the Nigerian market is making your revenue in Kenya to drop. Basic
mm,
things that once you do or what things that once you change, right, changes the entire scope of things, gets people faster to the goal, right? That is something that I feel like I've really learned. And that's a major misconception. A lot of designers think that they are in the technology team. You are not.
mm,
You are in the commercial team because guess what? If people are using the interface that you designed, that means that they are using literally your work to make money for the company, right? And that was a major misconception. So yeah,
yeah, that's actually, you said one thing, and designers make the mistake and thinking that, oh, for example, you're actually in the commercial team as well. But we actually brings me to my next
yeah,
question, which is the truth. Like, many designers struggle to think business, and for the longest time, even including myself, right? So, like, what mindset shift has helped
exactly.
you reach design, craft, and business outcome? Like, what mindset shift do you have to make? Like, what was that spark that changed that made you see align business and design outcomes?
Okay, so the one thing that I would say changed it was let me just paint the practical example. You know, for any company, one of the things that you focus on the most is what onboarding,
Mm-hmm,
right? I'm pretty sure that wherever you've been, there must be a project you've done on optimizing your onboarding, right?
mm-hmm,
And I'm so certain.
mm-hmm,
Now, when we had done all the onboarding optimizations, we had used tools like Full Story, while it's just dropping off. We think we knew that, right? Um, the fact is, all the optimizations that we had done, yeah, I mean, they did yield results. But at the point when we now started speaking with customers, right, every single day, and now not speaking with them from the perspective of I'm doing user research, because guess what? When you're doing your user research, you don't have a relationship with these people. So you might get people to speak with you from the point of view of user research, but you have not built a relationship with them, which means that even the information that they give you, while it might be unbiased, you've not really seen their true pain. It might be a situation where you have watched them maybe through look back or any other tools, right? Or even maybe using full story. You've seen how they use the platform. You think you've understood the pain. You haven't. And you won't understand that pain until when you can build a relationship with these people. But because you're a designer, you don't have your job role is not to build that relationship. Your job
mm,
role is not to close that deal. So you never get to that point of really seeing the truth. So back to the onboarding story, right? When I realized like how much impact it had was when we started building relationship, and then I started seeing the true hiccups that people had in the onboarding. And guess what? It was not even a factor of it was not even a factor of maybe the tech or the design. It's things that we would never have caught by all the research we could have done, or by watching how they onboard. We'll say, oh, they got to onboard in 15 minutes. So now we've done something amazing. It used to be 30 minutes before, but it could
Mm,
have been five. They had just done a few things, first of all, you know. So
mm,
that situation where these relations started getting built, and I started learning so much more, seeing all the things that we could have done that would really have eased the onboarding efforts, right? I would say that it was at that point that I really started having that um, perspective change, and
mm.
realizing how much design could have played a role in this. And guess what? All the changes that happened, it also started from the design team, just changing a few things around, and that makes all the difference for every single person. So like, yeah, so I'll just say like that was it, like with a practical example.
You've said you've given so many important and interesting insights here, and one thing that really stood out to me is that, and which is something that we designers need to really, really learn, is building actual relationships with the customers. Right? You can see the full story, and you can, but like, and yes, you can make these
Not
technical optimizations, but only through speaking to these guys directly that you can actually learn. Very, very important. It's very interesting. So, but from your
exactly.
experience, what makes a design decision truly strategic? We make all these optimizations, and we have all these charts and everything, and then we make changes. But what really makes a design decision truly strategic?
I'll say that design decisions become strategic when you can really start to weigh the impact on the customer and tie it directly to the revenue that the company makes,
Hmm.
right? At that point, your decisions have become strategic, right? Um, by way of question, I'll just ask: Are you familiar with what is called lead and lag measures?
Yeah, but you
Okay,
can,
so yeah, but at least
yeah,
yeah, but also for the audience, right?
yeah,
So you see, a lag measure is an outcome that you want to have, and then the lead measures are the things you do daily that eventually you doing them right will just get you to the lag. So, for example, your lag measure could be that you want to lose 5 kg of weight, right? That's the end goal.
hmm,
If you say you want to lose 5 kg of weight, it's not something that you say wake up in the morning and say, oh, I want to lose 5 kg of weight. No. What are the things you have to do to lose 5 kg of weight? Maybe you now say, oh, to do this, I will cut off carbohydrates. I would get better sleep. I would take 10,000 steps every day. Those things that you're doing, those are now like your lead measures,
hmm,
right? So you leads, and then they get you to a lag, right? You get your lag results. So that's the relationship between them. Now, tying it back into when your design decisions become strategic is when the decisions that you make or your lead measures in design every single day, those are the things that you do, eventually contribute to a lag measure of the company, right? Or a goal of the company. That's those your small basic inputs just make that difference and change that final result. That's when you become very strategic in design. Let me see if I can give you a very practical example, right? If um oh, you know what, I actually have a very practical example. It's not even an if thing. You see, in payments, let's say you have your design decision that you made. You kept on just thinking, how am I going to improve this checkout flow when somebody wants to make a payment for something online, right? And then in doing all of that work every day, you now make a decision to now put a retry button, right? Now, you just having that retry button on that payment, that small decision that you've made can lead to people, if their payments fail, rather than dropping off, trying again or using another method to make the payments, right? You see
hmm,
that your design decision, even though you might have thought, oh, I just did this from a UX perspective,
hmm,
but what you have done has now tied into the revenue of the company, because that would
Mm.
have been a lost sale. So yeah, so at that point they start to intersect. How they say, na collabo. So yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. And also another thing that I'm really curious about now that you have like a, should I say, a high vantage view, and you've experienced both sides, both business and design sides. Like what is the biggest gap you see in how entry and mid level designers approach business understanding today?
The biggest gap I see, but just give me a second. I need to
Yeah,
get some water.
yeah, sure,
I
sure,
feel
no problem.
myself coughing.
Sure, sure. I can see Kutaja, I can see that we are active on the chat today.
Yeah, we have some guys, some of our audience are in the chat, so just responding to them. And also,
Hi
we're
guys.
tweeting live, so I want to start sharing some of these things on Twitter while we're
Okay.
here.
Hi Ronit. I hope I pronounced it well. Okay, okay, we already answered him. Okay, cool.
Finally, I'm back.
Okay.
I don't know where that cough came.
Sorry.
Maybe you guys are making me talk too much without actually having a sip of water. You see, next time we'll actually have this in a proper uh,
Environment.
studio, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I should have refreshments here. I should have water. I should have a drink. It's not easy to keep talking now. Come on.
No vex, my boss. Don't
Uh-huh.
worry. We'll find a way around this next time. Don't worry.
No problem. No problem. Right. We keep improving every day. All right.
Definitely.
So, back to your question. Let me just see if I remember it correctly. You had asked me that what do I see as the major gap between like mid-level and junior designers and then senior designers? Was that it? I
Yeah,
just be sure if I got it right.
yeah. Yeah. So basically, what is the biggest gap you see in how entry and mid-level designers approach business understanding today?
Okay. This ties back to what I had mentioned earlier. And the biggest gap I see is that people don't understand how much their work ties into the actual revenue of the company. And that's the biggest gap. And
Mm.
that's just the simple truth. You see, most of the time, when you have somebody that's an entry level designer, they think that what they're working on is insignificant, right? Or even when it's significant, they don't really see the bigger picture. That you might be working on a small module, but it's a module that is basically improving the operational efficiency of the company, right? Or of the customer or something related. But all they're just seeing is that little scope. And because of it, they stay limited in that scope. They don't question, like, what am I trying to do here? What will am I fixing? What's the root cause of the problem? To know whether their design is actually fixing things at root cause, right? What's that broken experience that are trying to solve for, right? So they just think it's all about, well, I spoke to a customer, then this is the UI, approve it, and whatnot. But that's not the reality of things. And as you get higher, you now start to see that senior designers, where that difference starts to show in the experience, is that they're not just trying to design the screen, right? Design is problem solving. They're trying to
Mm.
solve a problem. And guess what? If you solve any problem that is not solved at root cause, it's going to reoccur.
Yeah.
Anything that you don't fix at root cause is going to occur again, right? If not, all you've just done is put a band-aid on it. So exactly. So the major difference I see is that while entry level, mid level sometimes don't understand that design is not design is not screens. Design is not about the research. Design is just problem solving. But you're solving the problems through your creativity. But a lot of people don't see that. So because they don't realize that what they are doing is actually just solving a problem, then they don't solve it at root cause. And that is where that difference shows. So yeah.
Fantastic. design is problem solving. Very important. We always say that, but I don't think we really a lot of people really understand that statement.
I
We
don't
will
think people understand.
yeah, people, a lot of people don't understand it to the roots. Um,
I know it's not the first time I'm saying. No, I've said that to you also. Though. I'm
yeah,
so sure at one point I've mentioned that. Right,
definitely.
design is literally problem solving. What
Yeah.
people don't know, they think you're designing screen. That's not it. You're a problem solver.
Yeah,
You
and
are a problem solver.
yeah, and the thing is, we think we know until we realize we actually don't know. Like it takes like a level of awakening to see that the thing that this my button is solving is actually way bigger than I think it is.
Uh, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Right. So
But
yeah.
yeah, that's like so. I mean, right now you are literally the model story for almost every designer right there out there. Going from the leading design teams in different industries to now being SVP as one of the biggest fintechs in Africa. What are some practical ways designers can earn a seat at the table, especially in like companies where design isn't yet mature?
Ah, let me rephrase your question. So what you're asking is that I have a very difficult question, right?
Give us
But it's not
expo.
it's not even
Give us
it's not easy
expo.
questions to answer. All right.
Yeah.
Um, but again, so you want to know, like, so for a designer that maybe you work in a company that design is not as appreciated,
Uh-huh.
which, let's be honest, is the reality of a lot of Nigerian designers,
Uh-huh.
right? And now you now want to do that transition into a much more mature role,
Uh-huh.
or a role that leads business units. And how do you convince a company that a designer is worthy of doing that, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You want the expo?
Mm.
Shall I tell you the expo?
Yes,
Just
now.
there's just one thing, right?
Okay.
Keep your receipts. That's the
Okay.
expo. Keep your
See,
receipts,
I'm
right?
not going to say this.
Now,
I
I'll
thought
guide
about
you. No, don't
it.
worry. I will give you details now. Eh?
I
I
thought
will
about
give you. I will give you. No,
I was anticipating so many different answers. Not in a million years or did
no,
I
no.
do it?
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm very interested. Please.
Just
Mhm.
that's all. So let me tell you. First of all, personally, I believe that designers have it good because from design you can transition to anywhere in any company, any single place, right? Let me take the fintech industry since this is my bread and butter, right? As a designer, you are opportune to get to work with every team because guess what? If you work in design, you would still be aware of what qualifies as a good merchant, based off the error states that you've designed for, based off the fields that you're putting in. That means that you've also gotten a bit of compliance experience
Mm.
as a designer too, right? Because you work with engineering all the time, of course, I don't need to dive into that one. That's just a waste of energy, right? But guess what? As a designer too, let's say you've had the opportunity to work on the pricing module, you've had opportunity to work on designing maybe how reports look and the revenue, the charts and everything. You have good insights into the finance part of it also, right? All your dashboards that you're going to work on and the like and optimize for gives you insights into data analytics and the BI team, right? And of course, you designing the onboarding, the websites, the product screens means you have the marketing visibility, you also have the sales visibility, right? So the truth is that first things first, what you have to realize that as a designer, you are in the best position in any company to choose what you want to do. Do I want to stay on the design track and get to the top? Do I want to pivot into something else that maybe just piques your curiosity? Right? You are in the best position. So that's the very first thing. And when you now realize that you are in the best position, then the next thing you now have to do is keep receipts for where you want to go, right? Now, I always knew right from start that I was very interested in the business segment, right? I always wanted to be on the commercial side of any company, right? I love design. I still design till today, even though I'm not doing it as my job. But like now, I do the most personal projects for myself. They might never see the light of day, or I'll bytecode them, right? but I enjoy designing, right? But I knew from the start that okay, if I want to get into the commercial side, what do you have to now do different? You have to keep receipts of how your designs and your design decisions have impacted the commercials of the company or the business of the company, right? So that's what I mean by keeping receipts. So just keeping receipts that oh, when I did XYZ, we wanted to position as this type of company. We're getting wanted to start getting this type of merchants. I made this number of design decisions, and within 3 months, we've gotten these three large enterprise merchants, right? You know, and how did they come? They did not come because we approached them. They came by themselves, meaning they saw something out there that made them
Mm.
come in. You keep that receipt. That receipt, as much as it might look like, oh, the designer made a decision, but guess what? The day you make that request that you want to move to this other team, you are showing that because you have done this already and this impacted the business in XYZ way, right? So every single thing that you do, keep your receipt. And that is all I would say. And that will make all the difference. So yeah.
Well, that's actually very insightful because I don't even think about keeping, oh, I did this, I did that. A lot of us, I think, and
Oh,
I
I
think
know.
I think this is something that actually, even aside from designers, people don't usually just think, oh, my work should speak for itself. But it's actually, I think it's really important that you don't always have to wait for the mountain to come to you. You should go to the mountain if it's not there, right? Have your receipts and let these people know that, yeah, yo, I did XYZ, I got XYZ, and I want to, I feel like this is fair compensation or fair, I want to move to this team or use it as leverage to scaling or moving to other transitions or other, and it's very, very insightful. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I also want to like pick your brain because fintech is actually a huge thing in Nigeria, right? There's a lot of things going on in fintech. It's very
Crazy
complex,
market.
very crazy market, very,
It's a,
very crazy.
it is.
You've had been you've been all around in different sides of it, right? So like, what unique strategic challenges does design face in companies in fintech companies around Nigeria?
You know the biggest challenge that Nigerians will face or a designer will face?
Hmm.
Nigerian mentality. How do you design for culture? I'm so
You
serious. I'm actually so
wow.
right. How do
Mhm.
you design for culture?
Wait.
Like how?
Designing for culture in fintech. That's actually interesting. That's an
Designing
angle.
for culture of designing for the culture of the Nigerians that are going to use your fintech product.
Mm,
Right.
yeah.
How do you design for it? It is such a crazy challenge. It's
Mm,
such a crazy challenge. And also the fact that second problem that I think it's just has just been so insane in this market, right? Or trying to design for Nigerian fintech market is that your users, your users can wake up one morning and they will test you out. Like they will test you out in ways that they never think should or could be tested, right? It's actually not funny. Like it's not funny. I
no.
think by privilege, I'm
Yeah.
able to design for different markets, right?
Yeah.
Because like where I work, we are currently like 21 or 22 different countries, right? And I was
Mm,
leading design for all the different currencies and the countries, right?
yeah.
And I promise you, the one that gives the most headache is still Nigeria. It's always Nigeria, right? Very
Yeah.
unpredictable set of people, right? Very unpredictable set of people, right? So I think that's one major challenge, right? And I think on that major challenge is just the fact that now this is now on a more serious note. Major
Mhm.
challenge is that then I believe that I didn't used to read as much as I should, especially about the industry. What do I
Mm,
mean? We operate in a regulated industry.
mm,
CBN can release frameworks maybe every month, every 2 months, and then not being informed of what CBN or your regulatory authority has asked you to do means that more often than not, you end up being reactive. You only
mm,
design when there's a problem because you guys have broken something that shouldn't have happened, right? Maybe let's take for example now, just because as a designer you are not aware of what goes on in your industry, or you don't listen to your regulators. You're not aware that maybe they've banned cryptocurrency, like when they did the ban. I think that was 2023 or there.
Mm,
Now, assuming that as a designer you are well informed, you are aware of what your regulators say. When they release that circular, maybe on by 9 a.m., by 12 o'clock, you should have updated your UI to remove all the places where you have mentioned that particular product,
mm,
right? Stuff like that. But then at the end of the day, the truth is that that's not a habit that is practiced a lot. We usually now wait for input of another team to tell you, the designer, like, oh, we need to do this and this. And usually it's when there's now a problem, or when
mm,
you've been flagged or something like that. So I think that what I'll say has been like a major change, or rather a major challenge, sorry, in this industry. We don't stay, we're not proactive, we're very reactive, even as designers, because the regulations, there are a lot of them, they come out all the time, you know and it's boring to read it.
mm.
But like, I mean, realistically, it's boring to read it. But it's
Yeah.
something that if you do and stay well informed, you would always be proactive. You would stand out, like your product will stand out, you'll stand out anywhere you are. So yeah.
Mm. Always being proactive instead of reactive. Very interesting. But speaking of regulations, which because I know, I mean, having some experience in fintech, I myself, I'm very aware that there's a trillion and one of them, right? So like, how were you able to balance usability, compliance, trust, and speed in designing financial products?
You saying I was able to balance it assumes that I balanced it, right? And that was the truth.
Oh
That's
my
just the
god!
truth.
Yeah.
Uh, how was I able to actually balance it, right? Realistically, I would say um, it was difficult, right? It really was, but I
Mm,
think it was just always being aware, right? Like, not I never wanted to be caught off guard, right? So
mm,
balancing it just means that I didn't let things pile up, right? And that was why it just seemed like there was structure in place. So I'm not letting things pile up. I'm not letting um, things catch me by surprise. If I see something, if I see a circular that says, "Oh, they're going to do something in 6 months' time," I'll set a reminder for that 6 months time to go and check again on the website, on the, like, how far is anything going to happen here. It was even like the same thing with open banking and stuff like that. When the
mm,
forward said, "Oh, they're going to set a timeline," I've got to go and set my own timeline too, to know whether this is something I need to now start looking into, so that when it happens, I'm not the one person that doesn't know how to design for it.
mm.
Like stuff like that. So I'll just say that that's what really helped. Just trying to always stay in the loop of things, trying to always understand what's going on, and just
Yeah.
not letting myself be caught unawares. So yeah.
Yeah. I remember no, I remember one of the first conversations I had when we first worked together, and it was how you told me you hack your own design. That stuff always stuck with me. That you that that you
I
hack your
remember.
yeah. I
I
never
literally remember.
because it's something I actually still do. I design and I'd be like, what's the way? How could I hack this?
What's the most stupid way that this thing will be used?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you have to, you always have to,
Yeah.
right? Because if you don't, sorry, you are opening up your product to a million other people that do not think any way like you.
Mm,
So you have to be the one to go and see how they're going to spoil it before they drag your name in the mud. All of us, like, one fear would be, going on X one day and seeing your company is trending, and you're just seeing is your UI. You have
say,
done
who
the
cooked this
beans that
beans?
you who cooked these beans, right? That's a legitimate fear.
Yeah,
Like, that's what that can keep me up at night.
I
So yeah, so you have to be the one to identify your beans and solve it. And
yeah.
then to now make it worse is, imagine if the beans that is now being shared is not even maybe what was done in production, that you can say, oh, engineer did not implement it properly, right? It did not go through your proper QA process and all. But what if it's your Figma file that you shared on a site to show off your work?
Yeah.
and the output is being, you know. So like you have to always hack your design all the time. I'll always say it,
Yeah.
right?
Always
But
talking
yeah,
with good lesson, man. Yeah. Okay. So I mean,
yeah,
yeah. So what? I mean, again, right now you're like the superhero of designers. Right now, you're one of the most like what enabled your
me,
bro. See, you have no idea how
I don't think
it like it's
right.
superhero. I'm telling you because like you have. I mean, a lot of. I think one of the one thing that designers, right? We as designers don't even have as a vision naturally is that we can lead a business team or lead some. I mean, it happens. Don't get me wrong. It does happen, right? But it's very few and far in
Yeah,
between. Very few and far in
it's
between.
not common.
Yeah, it's not common,
Yeah,
and that's
I
why
understand.
like, we want to have like that's why I'm having this conversation because we want people to understand that even as a designer, you're not limited, right? So what they want to know is what enable your transition from like product to like an executive level, like what enabled you that to do that?
I would say that there are both internal and external factors that include it, right?
Okay.
And we've talked about the internal earlier today. And what did I say? Keep your receipts.
Mm,
Those are the internal factors, right?
mm,
Now, when you keep your receipts and all, there was evidence to show that this person wants to do this commercial thing and has been consistently doing things, even in design, that are impacting the commercial units, right,
mhm,
of the company and all of that. And that was one thing. Um, the next thing I would now say that is now external is actually you getting into that position from like those above you. And to be very clear, I had asked for it, right? So initially, when I was in design, I had actually asked, and I said things like, we hadn't utilized. I felt like I actually had a skill set that hadn't been used, which was selling, right?
mm,
I felt like I had these skills in sales, and it had never been tapped, and I wanted to use it. I wanted to use that skill, so I
mm,
had raised it up, right? That this is what I want to do. And then that's why I now see those external factors now come in play, where after you have raised it up, no matter how it is for any company or for any business, the one part of the company that they will never play with is the commercial parts. And guess what? Any company is always happy to bring in more people into the commercial parts. I mean,
mm,
you want to come and make us more money? 100% sure. Dive in. Dive in will teach you. So like
mm.
yeah, so putting myself out there, right? Keeping the receipts also, right? I would say that that is pretty much what played the role. And then when the position opened up, there was still a trial period. It's not like I just woke up one day and I was leading. No, I wasn't, right?
Mm,
But I first moved to sales, right? And then in sales, I gave my all, to drive the revenues and to drive the numbers, drive the business, speak with my customers every single day, get things moving, get them live, get them transacting, and the like, until when the position opened up to now like lead the units, or rather basically just lead Africa and then transitioning into that, right? So I think that's just pretty much it, right? So what I'll say is keep your receipts and don't be afraid to ask. The worst you'll hear is no.
have audacity.
Um,
How would
that's
that
it.
say? Yeah,
Amen.
I'm sure
So
you. I'm
yeah,
sure you have stories for days concerning like this particular transition. And honestly, me and you, we have to like sit down over a bottle of.
yeah,
You can.
yeah. Because there's so much like the learning curve, learning points. Like there are days when I even wake up and I just realize like, oh, maybe I should trash everything I think I know
Mm,
because everything changes so fast, right? Yeah. So there's so many learning points. There's so much,
yeah.
really so much. The experiences every single day
Mm.
is
So,
crazy.
yeah,
It's
I
really
can
crazy.
imagine. I mean, you've mentioned a couple of things that you've had to do, during the transition. But like one thing I want to understand: was it a collection of things, or was there any particular scenario or moment when you realized, hey, I'm no longer just a designer, and like I'm not a business leader. Like, was there any like particular thing that happened?
The direct answer is no, and you know
Mm,
why? Because
why?
I'm still a designer.
Mm.
I would always be, right. And this is not like, this is not a thing of, oh, just saying it to please the crowd or anything.
Mm-hmm.
No, I love design. Like
Mm.
I really do. I
Mm-hmm.
really, really do. So the from actually even this Riverside that we're currently using, right? From the moment I opened it, I started spotting everything on the design. I was like, oh, how will I optimize this? What will I do here? What will I do there? And
Mm.
everything. And this is just the default thinking, right?
Mm.
Behind. So I don't think there's ever been a point where I'll say, oh, I'm no more a designer. But if you say, oh, a point to say, I'm now doing design and this thing,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the major moment for me was the first time I saw um, revenue coming from a customer I've been talking to. So like that
Mm.
point where it just sunk in. Like I opened the dashboard, refresh, I'm looking at the numbers for today, and I'm seeing like, oh, I'm talking to XYZ merchants, you know. And then I think I had looked away and I looked back again and I'm like, transaction volume. Am I seeing $200,000? Do you get transaction? Is it going up?
Yeah.
What's going on here? Is this guy transacting? And I'm refreshing the page and I'm seeing the numbers going up. I'm like, I did this. Like, oh my
Mm.
good, I actually did this. Like, I opened my WhatsApp. I spoke with this guy every day. I look at my emails. I'm like, you mean I spoke to this guy every day to the point where I was able to convince him and get him to move from wherever he was to
Mm.
our own business and use my APIs and start transacting. And I think that's the first time that happened was I think it was in January this year,
Mm.
right? But I remember that feeling. No, it was February. It was early February. I remember because it was just before we took a trip, right, at work and everything. And it was that early February. And then that was the first time I saw it really materialize.
Mm.
Not a situation where someone was handed over to you or someone else had taken the conversation somewhere, but you went on your own. You met someone. You
Process, yeah.
then that was that moment when I'm like, you bad. So yeah.
Yeah. But I just want to say, I mean, I could ask you a lot more questions. There's so many things I still want to know, but maybe that won't be another time. It's been
I'm
so
always available for you guys. I mean,
definitely.
you're both my G's.
Yeah, so
Right.
amazing, like getting so many insights from you. I'm done asking questions right now. So after this, could I just go to like maybe probably ask you a question or two, and then maybe give you a chance to like just we like doing one thing where we allow our hosts just talk about a thing or two, maybe a business or like a side project they're working on that they like people to know about. So could I just going to like take it up from here, and that's it. Well, yeah, thanks for being here, giving us your time and everything. Really appreciate it.
No problem. I got you. Anytime, any day, anywhere. Just hit me up. I'm always ready to
All
jump
right.
on call with you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Thank
IK,
Okay.
you are setting a
Yeah,
record
my
that I don't know. I'm not so pleased with. Your session is looking to become the shortest we've had. Raphael, how did you allow IK escape with this? This is frustrating.
No, it will just be by 10 minutes. By the time you're done, it will be like
direct answers. No, sir.
As the
Giving you the
senior
direct
leader, senior
answers.
man that
There's
you
no
are, your
correct people
session is
can
not
talk,
supposed to be
man.
this short.
Just spit all this
Yeah,
truth.
there's a lot of wisdom to dish out.
It's allowed. It's allowed. Don't worry. Let it be short, right? Keep them
All
wanting
right.
more. Let the people ask for me. Come again. We'll come back for part two.
exactly
Maybe the next one will make it a more open house.
interesting.
Let people
Yeah.
come in, dive. You know, yeah. So
All
yeah,
right. Now,
or
so
we
I
can do
think
like
before I would
a
go,
round table conversation.
Yeah.
before I would go, is there
Yeah.
anything you want? Where can we find you? I have a couple of questions to just ask to add in addition to what Raphael has or what the conversation has been so far about. But is there anything you want to share, anything you want to promote, the products you're working on, a platform you're building, or any program you have that you just want to like let the public know? You can do that here or now.
So
And also,
I do.
where can we find you to connect? Where can our audience find you to connect with you?
Okay. All right. So I'll answer both. So the first thing is there any product that I would like to promote? I mean, there are two, obviously. The first
Okay.
one, of course, is Finca, where I currently work. Best, best payment rails in Africa, right? No matter the country. So wherever you work, if you work in any business that you are doing transactions across Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, internationally, globally, right? It just makes sense that you just come to us because one integration will open it to all the corridors. We make that cross-border trade seamless. So obviously that's the first place. The second one is, yeah, I do have a personal project, right? It has to do with cars. Now, do I want to promote it yet? No, because I'm not done. So for me, it's very personal because I'm doing everything myself just because I want to, right? I'm enjoying it because I love cars, right? So from even having to learn a lot more on coding, right? Because yes, I'm vibe coding it, but there are some bugs that I just need to dive in and fix myself. So now I'm having to start learning React again, and um, oh my god, I'll still have to go to backend eventually. That I'm dodging, you know. But like, yeah, there's a product. Hopefully, based off my personal timelines, I should launch around March. So maybe we have a conversation again in April, and I'll be very, very happy to promote, you know. But like,
Okay.
yeah, but that is pretty much. So there's Finkra, and then the other one I'll say, watch out for part two. And then when in terms of like how to connect with me,
Yeah.
I mean LinkedIn works, right? LinkedIn is one of the best places to reach out to me, or Instagram. I don't use Twitter much. I've actually never been much of a Twitter person, right? Or X. Yeah, so I'm pretty much not even there, right? But Instagram, LinkedIn, I'm always active. Um, LinkedIn, Ikenal Swayze, Instagram, Boss IK, and that's it.
All right. So just so you know, guys, IK, though is building a product that has to do with cars and problems trying to solve, but right now is a big time car dealer. So I don't know why
Oh
this one is.
yeah,
Maybe you think our audience doesn't have the money to buy the kind of car we sell or what. But if you want to buy cars and you're looking for a short plug, this one is not
please,
like
please come to me.
I
Yeah,
is
if you
a
want to
good
buy, if you want to import,
good
if you want to
like this.
clear, I mean, like I will get it done for you. Don't worry. And since I work in a regulated industry, so I'm very, very compliant. So even with Nigeria's tax laws and the right licenses to basically make sure that things are done, I have all of those. So yeah,
Yeah,
please, thank you, Taj.
good
I
to
was
have you.
thinking from the product perspective, and I forgot to say, oh yeah, I also have this that I could promote. But like,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. So
yeah,
just a few
but
more
yeah.
questions to just wrap up. Some of which you may have touched. So let me see. I think I have. Okay. So
Let's do just one. Let's limit
just
it to
one.
one. Give me
Okay.
that one question that
Let me
would,
see.
I will shake it. I'll shake everywhere.
Okay. You've given one response, which is keep your receipts, and you explain what that meant. So I'm not going to, because there's one question I see here that you may eventually say that. So I don't want to say. I want to say something different. Okay. So I have this one. What's a common
Okay.
mistake designers make when trying to be strategic? So a designer is like someone who's looking at your career now, like, okay, I like how this guy has moved and eventually has transitioned into an executive level or maybe a senior level, a C, like is having more influence now in the company, not just as a designer, but in a very strategic position. So for a designer who wants to have that kind of trajectory, right? What mistake? I don't know if you've seen someone trying to do that, but what mistake do you think, apart from the receipt one, what other mistakes have you experienced or see people make, or would you recommend that try and avoid things like this?
I've actually seen, right?
Okay.
I have actually. Oh, um, I'm thinking of how to put this, right? How do I put this? There's a quote that goes something like, um, "The day you stop learning is the day you die," or something like that, right? A common mistake that I've seen is that people don't want to learn. So they think they know it, but they don't. They think it's easy, but it's not. Or they think they understand, but you don't understand it, right? The most common mistake I've seen is really just people not reading. not preparing. So let me give an example. Even before transitioning into sales, before I transition again, I read a book, right? Think Faster, Talk Smarter. Then from there, I read Diary of a CEO. I read how they build the amazing culture at Netflix. Then I also read, of course, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, Eight Habits, Atomic Habits, Four Disciplines of Execution, stuff like that. And guess what? It was just preparational. Because guess what? I don't even know. I think like I thought, oh, maybe I may know how to sell or I want to do sales. But being able to understand and realize that if I'm going to do this thing, let me go and learn from those that have done it before, right? Let me actually go and read something from someone else that has done this thing. Do you get? And that's it. I know somebody that was trying to do a transition, but this time it wasn't to the sales part of it, right? But he was trying to transition into business intelligence, right? And he's like, oh, this is my passion. This is that, this is that. Not one day did he ever say, let me actually learn this. Let me even open a YouTube video and look at it. He just kept on trusting his own knowledge and the experience from how business agents is done in his company. And then you apply it somewhere else to go and do business intelligence, right? And you got the job and you lost the job. And I'll still attribute it to, like, I mean, we had conversations and everything, but from all the conversations that we had, it's boiled down to just one thing, which was you are not prepared. And you not being prepared was not because they were not willing to train you, was because you are not willing to learn, right? So that is the one common mistake that
Wow.
I would say.
So if I were to
Right?
summarize this, what you're saying is if you want to transition to a role, you have to prepare for the role, right? So
Prepare for
read
it.
books,
Yeah.
take courses, get materials for that role, and don't just
Yeah.
assume that your current knowledge or understanding of what you perceive would be
You
sufficient
don't
or
know
what
it.
is sufficient for you. Okay, so I think this is the
Exactly.
second time I'm hearing. So I was at an event yesterday, and after the mentorship hour, one of the books that was recommended for us to read was The Diary of a CEO. So this is the second time in
Ah,
2 days or in less than 24 hours, sort of, that I'm hearing. So I must
I
definitely
have a
buy.
copy. I can send it to you. I have
Oh,
a
cool.
copy. I can send to you.
I will not return
It's
it though.
a. It's a. I'm not sending it to you again. Sorry, I can buy your own. Yeah, I can buy your own. But yeah,
Okay, so
it's one you should read.
yeah, so you mentioned a couple of books. I'm taking notes right now. So you mentioned Think Fast, Talk Slow, that for CEO, the Netflix. Can you just mention them again? The
So
Netflix,
that
there's
was a
one Netflix.
think fast. It was think faster, talk smarter,
Okay, Talk
right?
Smarter. Okay.
Um, yeah.
I want our audience to also
Then
get this.
I read Diary of a CEO.
Mm-hmm.
There's one I don't have the specific name yet. It's
Okay.
about Netflix, but I have the books. I'll just send you a picture of it.
Okay,
Right,
cool,
but something
cool.
around Netflix, the culture of Netflix, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then, of course, the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
Of highly
Right,
effective
by
people.
Stephen
Okay.
Covey.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a life changing book. The
Okay.
Eight Habits also. It's like it's a continuation, not a
The same
continuation.
copy,
It
the
is
same title of highly effective people. The same
yeah,
title.
the name is Eight Habits. Yes, that's one. The
Okay.
one is just the Eight Habits. That's all. Just the
Okay.
Eight Habits.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's the Four Disciplines of Execution. If you want to learn how to actually get things done,
Yeah.
read that book. It will
I'm getting
simplify
all
your
these.
life.
There's nothing stopping me from getting these books, I swear. So I bought, I think last week I
Yeah,
bought about 7 books from Roving Heights. They've not come. And I'm looking to buy more because I realized that I've not been reading as much as I should. And
yeah,
I'm seeing gaps in my execution.
you should.
So I know that there's a knowledge gap I need to fill. So I'm definitely getting these books. Thank you so much for sharing. I'll follow you up in your DMs for the Netflix one
All
and
right,
any other one you have to share. All right, guys. So
no
thank
problem.
you so much,
I've
Ikenna.
got you anytime.
So that brings us to the end
Yeah, you're
of
welcome.
episode 8 of today's
Am I
session.
a record?
And
Is this the shortest session?
I'm trying to make sure you're not
Am I
you're
breaking
not to break
records?
the record. Somebody else has that record.
End the score, end the score, end the score, end the score. End this call now.
Don't worry, don't
Right?
worry, don't
End this
worry, don't
call
worry.
now. That
I
is
think because it's around 1 hour, 1 hour 10 minutes. So you still have
Yeah,
like a good
yes,
time.
you're still the actually the
Obviously,
your record time actually.
I just want to announce to our audience that so this is our last episode for the year, right?
Yeah.
We've had 8 episodes so far this year. Well, we're going to do thriller summary and post on our socials and also on YouTube on the progress we've made this year. The January podcast started this year. These are 8 episodes. So it's really been an interesting journey so far. There's no episode coming up in December, and we have an interesting lineup of episodes and updates from the January podcast and also the January as a brand next year, 2026. So we wish you a restful end of the year. Take time out, do retreats, and so that you can step into the next year stronger. But definitely between now and then, we'll be sharing with you updates, our journey so far, learnings, and um, Ike, I don't know. Are you frozen because this is your position?
I think it's frozen. I think it's
Okay,
frozen.
but anyways, for our listeners, yeah, okay, it dropped off. Yeah, so for our listeners out there, this is our last episode. Thank you so far. If you followed us from episode 1 till now, thank you so much. If you just followed the episode, please, if you just followed through this episode, please go back and watch our previous episodes. Right, it's been knowledge dispensing session one after the other from different speakers, male, female, different topics, mentorship, strategy, business design, different stuff, career.
We've
So
actually talked anyways.
we have a lot. We've had very interesting sessions this year, and we have many more coming and interesting series for next year. So do follow us on different social media platform. Is Designer HQ? I think the D is no longer there, right? But it's now Designer HQ on YouTube, Designer HQ on Twitter, on Instagram, right? So do follow us on our different handles. And thanks. I think today is the most interactive we've had on a live call. We had about four persons following on the live chat, so it's very very interactive. So to Balogun, thanks for joining. Run it. And then we have Sohag. Thanks for joining. We see your feedback. We get your feedback, and that's part of one of the things we are going to fix for our recording sessions for next. Yeah, so this brings to an end our series 1. So next year we're going to start series 2, which is the second phase of designing podcast. So IK, before you go, please let me remind you what we always forget to do this. Please keep your browser open. So even after we end this call, just keep the browser open so that your session can be uploaded to the cloud on Riverside. When it's done, you know,
okay.
it let you know, but just leave the browser open even though you exit the call. Then also any
Okay.
last words for designers out there? It may not be related to the topic you just spoke about, but any maybe
Yeah,
something you can just share in 1 minute before you go.
I'll say that please, right? Like in this new age of I feel design is going through a very challenging period with AI, right? And
Yeah.
I just want to say that in this new phase and this new climate that we're going into, don't stop innovating, right? And don't give up. Because I was speaking to somebody recently and he was just like, oh, he's done because he feels like AI is replacing him. And I said, no, no, it's not. Someone with AI is going to replace you, not AI replacing you. So don't stop improving, don't stop innovating, and just let's just keep moving forward. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much, Raphael. Any words? Not just any words. You have anything you have to share?
Nah, I'm good, man. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Advance. Okay, so
Right.
for me, just adding to designers out there, if you feel like AI is coming for your job or you feel like the product design is getting crowded, what I would just tell you is to change the playing field. So this is the time where you have to now explore the areas of interest you have. Who knows? Maybe that could be your advantage. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. So see you guys in the next episode. For now, peace out.
Bye.
Thanks.
All right, goodbye.